Welcome to the second installment of Alicia Online Tips and Tricks, Magic Edition. You don't need to watch the first tips and tricks video to understand these, but if you would like to watch the first video, it will be linked below. We hope these tips are helpful and that you may not know some of them. These tips are mainly directed towards newer players, but can work for everyone and apply to everyone. Number 1. Hazes make your shots critical. Did you know that hazes may not be as useless as they seem, and that, instead, they can be quite powerful? We feel like it's a very missable tip, but whilst hazed, every bolt on the player that is hazed will be critical. This applies to everyone, whether it's you being shot whilst hazed or you shooting somebody else with haze. Haze puts players in a vulnerable position, and it's important that you, as an opponent, can learn to use that to your advantage. Shooting a player with haze could very much be the difference between you or your team winning and losing a race. Number 2. Where to place ice. We feel like ice is probably one of the most hated magic items in the game, and we get why. Maybe it's because of the difficulty on dodging it, or it just seems to always be in your magic bar when you don't need it. Regardless, knowing where to place ice is essential. We recommend to always place your ice on blind spots. These spots may be on turns or away from your opponent's view. There's always a big chance that someone will hit it. Also, placing them before the magic dropper can also discourage your opponents from picking up a magic item from the dropper, further delaying their next attack. If you're racing against high-level players, it might be a bit more difficult to fool them, but never impossible. Just don't hold your ice for too long, because in most cases, it's not worth it. Number 3. Using the reset button. Pressing R, or the key that you use to sort of reset and get further back in the race, is one of the most important features to keep in mind while racing. It's important to remember you don't need to be in first at all times. Instead, resetting can allow you to pass an opponent a dragon and save you some time, allow you to avoid attacks, as well as working great for going back and shooting someone. Although, take this tip with a grain of salt. We found that in most situations, it is not best to reset to dodge ice, or reset once a bolt's crosshairs are already on you. There's a delay in the reset of the aim, and it is possible for the player to still shoot you for a second even after you press the reset button. We found that usually you don't have much control on where you turn when resetting, and oftentimes the game will glide you straight into the ice you were trying to avoid. It's up to you as the player to make the judgment calls of when you will and won't use the reset button. Number 4. Use of magic. Knowing how to time magic spells comes with practice and skill. Like mentioned in our first video, memorizing magic and its sounds is important, but so is knowing when and how to use each individual spell to the fullest. It's important not to just throw your magic at the nearest opponent as soon as you get it. Look at what item you have and think about where you will place it or who you will attack wisely. Don't just throw those dragons and bolts. Look for opponents who may be farther ahead and attack them so you can slow down the race. Attack opponents who are holding boosts or phoenix feathers so they don't get the chance to get too far ahead. Wait to place an ice on a nearby curve to increase the chance of someone hitting it. Holding and waiting to use lightning until someone from the other team gets into first. All of these are possible ways to use your magic to the fullest in races, and the possibilities of good ways to use magic are yours to discover. Number 5. How to spot a boost holder and defeat them. Boost holding is a tactic in the game in which a player will strategically time their boosts in a race to gain a huge lead, or most commonly, to pass the leader at the end of a race to win. It's a strategy, and that's undeniable. It's up to you to decide if it's an honorable way to win or not, which still seems to be a controversy in the community today. But knowing how to deal with boost holders is essential in any race, since they can be very strong opponents. The main priority is to not let them get very far away, but at the same time, targeting them non-stop is not quite the best method either. It's quite simple how to spot them. Most of them start races in the back. You don't need to stay in the back with them, just keep an eye out for any player that's holding for too long to be deemed reasonable, and try your best to get either shackles or a bolt. We find that these items are given most commonly between 6th and 2nd place. If on teams, refrain from using dragons as they can boost and pass the dragon to one of your teammates. Ideally, you don't want to give them the opportunity to get in the front ranks with their boost, as that will maximize how far away they can get ahead. Once you've acquired a bolt or shackles, get behind the player and either shoot them so they have to use their boost, or hold shackles and attack once they use the boost to stop the boost effect. It can be very hard sometimes to maintain self-control when holding shackles, but as always, it's important to have patience to get the job done. It's key to remember that being able to stop boost holders is crucial to your own or your team's success. If you're able to successfully stop them, with repetition, they will likely lose interest in trying to hold, as it doesn't pay to hold if the boost never works to their advantage. Having now gone through all the tips for today, keep in mind once again that these are not all 100% guaranteed to work. As mentioned, the more skilled racers you play with, the harder it will be to fool them with ice, waiting to shackle when they have a boost, resetting to pass fire, and much more. With time and practice, you will also become an equal to these more skilled players and potentially surpass them. Like every skill, being good at racing takes a lot of practice and learning from experience. We hope you learned something new today and can apply some of these to your racing. We plan to post even more videos specific to Magic teams and Magic singles in the future. Were these tricks helpful? Feel free to tell us down in the comments. If you want to see more tips like these in the future, let us know. Good luck and happy racing!